Well, Simon,
are you able to give us sorry, Josh. Simon, are you able to give us an update on how Angus is going?
Yeah, look, he's progressing well. Clearly, he's in the protocols, and there's more checks that need to be done. But you know, so far so good in terms of his progression back to where we want to be. But you know, there's some tests that still need to be done. He's got to work through these protocols, and we certainly won't take a risk with him as a player. You know, there's a big picture to think of here with Angus, and we just got to make sure everything's done properly. His health is paramount in this situation, so we certainly won't take a risk, but we'll make sure all the protocols are done well, and then once we get through that, we'll assess it then.
His brother mentioned yesterday that Angus was going to have a brain scan. Is that normal procedure after a concussion?
Oh, it's certainly normal procedure for someone that's had a concussion history. So this is part of the protocols that we'll step through and make sure that everything's in line with where we want Angus to be, and gives us some real comfort about where his health sits. And I think we need to do that as a footy club. Angus needs to do that. His family needs to understand that, and we make sure we step through the protocols in the right way. And as I said, like, his health is paramount in this space, so we need to make sure he's 100% right, and make sure we tick all those boxes to ensure that.
how serious, Simon, are, I guess, the conversations around his future and given his history? I mean, you know, is there a chance that we might not see him again, or is at that stage yet?
We certainly haven't had any of those discussions at all, but clearly with concussion, you need to make sure everything's done properly, and health is paramount in this space, and we've seen a number of players retire due to concussion. So as I said, we need to make sure the athlete, in this case Angus, is clear, is functioning fully, and we're really clear about what it looks like moving forward. But I think nothing's off the table at this point. We need to make sure he works through these protocols the right way.
What about your captain? There's been some reports that Maxi's got a broken toe. Can you confirm that, and I guess where that leaves him for Friday night?
Well, I can confirm he's going to train fully today. So both he and Clayton will train fully today and be available. You know, I think every player is carrying certain things at certain times in the year, but you know, this isn't something that's going to slow either of these two down. They had a light day the other day, but they were trained fully today in preparation for the game.
What are the chances of Grundy being recalled for this week?
Oh, look, nothing's off the table. It's still very early in the week. Clearly, I'm sure there'll be some questions about forward line and Jacob Van Rooyen not playing. I'm not going to go into the depths of what the team will look like from a selection perspective, but what we have done throughout the whole year is have to find a way to score through our forward line. We've had some real interruptions in the forward half of the ground, and that's no different currently, but we'll come up with a plan, we'll come up with a method, we'll come up with the personnel to maximise what we've got, and we're excited about that opportunity. We're not sitting here thinking, woe is me. We're thinking, what are the opportunities, and how can we generate the result that we're looking for?
Good. Is some of that the way the ball is being delivered inside 50, not just a personnel issue?
Yeah, look, it was poor on the weekend. We weren't happy with how we moved the ball. We weren't happy with how we executed the ball inside 50. And we certainly weren't happy with, you know, our execution in front of goal. So there was a whole range of different things that contributed. We had 28 shots at goal. We didn't execute those, but our ball movement certainly wasn't to the level that we would like it. And certainly our ability to use the ball inside 50 wasn't to the level that it had been in the previous, 6 or 8 weeks. So we're not sitting here denying that. We need to get better at that. We'll focus on that throughout the week at training, and we'll get better at it.
Is there frustration that we're now at sort of week 2 of finals and that is an issue at this point of the season?
Oh no, it's just a game of footy that we didn't get right. It's like any other phase of your game. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. Throughout the year we've had games that we've executed incredibly well. We've had 2 games that have really stood out throughout the year where it's cost us games of footy. One was GWS in about round 13-14, and another one was in our first final. And they're 2 games that stand out to everyone because of the dominant way we played and we didn't execute. So yeah, look, there's some frustration in terms of we've got to keep getting it better, but there's also a lot of positives in our opportunity to play that way and get opportunities, get shots, and get looks at goal.
Do you feel any extra pressure given the club hasn't won a final in Melbourne since 2018?
No, I think we're a club that will lean into the pressure, stress, anxiety about performance, and playing well on the big stage is in all elite sport. But right now, there's 6 teams left that are all going to face pressure. There's sudden death stakes, and we want to lean into that and be prepared for owning our time, owning our moment, and staying in the now. And our group spent a lot of time doing that, so we'll lean into it this week. And just focus on process, focus about what we can control and go out and execute. And the results will take care of themselves.
So Simon, is Ben Brown fit for selection? And is Shaki also an option?
Look, they'll both train fully this week, yeah. So Ben's back, obviously had that knee for a couple of weeks, so he'll train fully today. And as I said, there's nothing off the table at the moment from a selection perspective in our forward half. We'll come up with a plan, we'll come up with the personnel. We're excited about that opportunity, and both those boys will be available for that.
Simon, just confirming, you mentioned Max is fine and right to go. Is he carrying a broken toe, just to clarify?
I'm not going to give out our medical report. What I will say is going to train fully today.
And just obviously there's been so much talk swirling around the Braden Maynard case is getting heard today. You're pretty to the point post-match. There's been so much talk swirling around how Melbourne are feeling, how the Braves are feeling. Where do you guys sit now in terms of this case and whether Braden Maynard, I guess, should be suspended?
Yeah, I think the whole footy world is looking at this case for a whole range of different reasons. And post game, I gave the basic facts about what took place. But ultimately, we're looking at what a duty of care looks like in this space. To have a player concussed for 2 minutes, I think we're all looking at the different types of footy acts that are out there and the space that we've come to in this area. We've come a long way as an industry about how we protect the head, whether that be within tackles, within bumps, with a whole range of different football acts. And I think this is another example of what does a duty of care look like in a football act, and the whole footy world will be looking at what the outcome of this result is, and it will certainly be one of those clubs.
We heard that Braden went and visited Angus over the weekend to apologise. How was that received?
Haven't spoken to anyone about it. So you have to ask the relevant people on how that was received. That's not for me to comment on.
Simon, how do you support the guys, I suppose, from an emotional perspective? Because an on-field performance is one element of what can shape how a team goes out there. But we know that when you see a teammate go down, it's tough for everybody. And, there is this case that's getting a lot of publicity. How do you support the team in this time and keep them focused?
Yeah, look, we've spoken about it very early in the week about what our role is this week, about, we go back to process and executing our best week of footy, and that's about our role clarity, and that's about making sure we stick to what's important to us. And if you were internal right now, you'd see the energy and the positivity and the opportunity that sits within our coaching group, within our playing group. There's a vibrancy that's really permeating through our building about what's in front of us and the opportunity that sits there. So I know there's a lot of noise on the outside about incidents and performance and anxiety and the what ifs. We're not in that space. We're in the space of positivity, opportunity, and looking about what's possible, and that's exciting for us internally.
Last couple, thanks.
Simon, have you got a sense from Angus, even at this early stage, that he'd be keen to play if you guys keep progressing?
Yeah, look, they're conversations we'll have in the next few days. The first thing that we've got through with Angus is his health, and he is feeling a lot better. So I'm sure those conversations will take place in the coming days as he works through these protocols and we get a bit more clarity on everything. But I think, if he keeps progressing the way he's progressing, those conversations will happen in the next few days.
How much confidence, Simon, do you take from that recent performance against Carlton? And I guess what did you learn from watching their final against the Swans as well?
Yeah, look, every game that we've played against Carlton this year, we played 2, have been tight contests where you're going to have to maximise your opportunities. And you saw that the way they play. They're a very strong defensive team. They win contests. They're very strong at stoppage. So they're in some really good form. They've got some great players. They're up and running and playing well. But we also have some great players and some opportunities. So I'm expecting a tight contest. I'm expecting a contest type game, and we'll have some plans that we can take the game to them.
Thanks, Rudy.
Sorry, just quickly, just on Petrarca, you mentioned post game. Obviously, you were impacted with his ability to play forward with the Brayshaw substitution. Is he back in your plans, I guess, with hopefully a full team to play some more time forward on Friday?
You'll find out Friday night.
Thanks.
Thank you.